Let's move on to NBC. Speaking of neocons, this is something I'll never let it go. The people who propagandize and lied us into the war in Iraq are the biggest criminals morally of our generation. They should be shunned. They should be made unemployable. If you want to talk about cancel culture, these are the people who should be canceled. And instead, they have failed upwards to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. So you will remember Stephen Hayes. I've talked a lot about him on the show. He wrote a famous book called The Connection Between Bin Laden and Saddam Hussein, which helped lay the groundwork for the invasion of Iraq and the manipulation of the American public. He recently resigned from Fox News as a commentator, not for any real reason, or in my view, because of protesting Tucker Carlson's January 6th documentary. He said it was ridiculous in order to insinuate that government agents were somehow involved in January 6th. Yeah, no, right. Pay close attention to where the line gets actually drawn. What is the actual objection here? Something that has basically been proven to be true. We're not endorsing the view that it is a false flag whatsoever, but look, it's a matter of public record that government informants were involved in. There's a lot of other stuff that continues to come out here. Well, after his resignation from Fox, he's found a new home. Let's put this up there on the screen. What do we find? The Dispatch's Stephen Hayes joins NBC News as contributor and political analyst. He will appear regularly across all NBC programming, The Today Show, Meet the Press, and NBC News, and contribute to the network's special political and election coverage. Thank you so much for the treat, NBC News, of being able to hear a discredited, wrong, and foolish man who is going to now enlighten millions of liberals, who he has been completely rehabilitated to because he opposed Trump and basically endorsed many of the views of Russiagate. And let's put this up there. They left out that little key part of Stephen Hayes' bio, The Connection. I can't describe to you how completely insane this book was at the time and how instrumental it was in helping sell the American public on war in Iraq. And actually, God bless Glenn Greenwald, because he dug through the archives and he found the clip. Take a look at how the media was treating this man at the time and the claims that he made in 2002.
Well, Stephen Hayes has a new book out called The Connection, and Mr. Hayes from the New York Times yesterday, they have a quote from the staff report that is scheduled to be coming out from the Independent Commission on 9/11 sometime during the next couple of weeks. The staff report found that there was no credible evidence that Iraq and al-Qaeda cooperated on attacks against the United States, and that repeated contacts between Iraq and al-Qaeda do not appear to have resulted in a collaborative relationship. Can what the staff says and what you say in your book both be right?
No, I don't think so. I think the staff, I think that mirrors the language that was in the first staff statement 15 that was released a couple weeks ago. And I guess it's a question to harken back to a previous administration of what the meaning of collaborative is. George Tenet has said repeatedly that the Iraqis provided training, funding, arms, safe haven for al-Qaeda. I would say that that's collaborative. If there was, in fact, this training, which I believe there was, I report about in my book, that to me is collaboration. Now, whether they collaborated on attacks, I think, is a separate question.
Yeah, and I apologize. That was June 2004 that was published. But what I was referring to is that Dick Cheney had actually cited him as the, quote, best source of information about Saddam's al-Qaeda connection. Right. So I want to be clear here. The book, was instrumental in helping convince the American public that the ongoing war in Iraq was vital. His previous work, which had not been in the book but had been published and referred to a lot of this stuff, helped pave the way for that war. And you just can't look at that and tell me that that person should have anything to say about modern American politics until they get on their knees and apologize to the world for what they helped rot.
He was the number one proponent of this idea that there was a direct connect between Saddam Hussein and al-Qaeda. And I think also, what's come out afterwards is the way that he sources. I mean, he had this one deep state source who fed him what they wanted the narrative to be, and he dutifully engaged in stenography and put out there exactly what the deep state wanted out there in the public media sphere. He was very successful at that. So that's one thing. I actually went and looked up some of his quotes about when he was arguing in favor of the Iraq war. He said, I think liberating Iraq will send a strong message to Iran, North Korea, and other hostile regimes, not only because it will show that the United States will not tolerate bullies, especially bullies with weapons of mass destruction, but it will also, I think, hopefully show what a free, liberated Iraqi people can do for themselves. And it will, again, be a fabulous model, not only for the Middle East, but for places throughout the world that haven't had these kinds of freedoms in the past.
It's a model, all right.
Haven't had them realize. Yeah, that was quite a fabulous model there, Stephen Hayes. He said there can no longer be any serious argument about whether Saddam Hussein's Iraq worked with Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda to plot against Americans. And I didn't realize, but in doing research for the segment, came to find out, not only did he write that book, The Connection, he also wrote a hagiographic biography on Dick Cheney.
Yes.
And another one on Paul Wolfowitz titled The Brain, Paul Wolfowitz and the Making of the Bush Doctrine. So, we're about to talk about Rogan. Rogan is, he's like basically Hitler at this point in these people's mind. And someone like this is getting who cost thousands and thousands of lives, helped to propagate these lies on the American people, has never apologized, has never really been rehabilitated, has continued to go along with some of the worst excesses of media lying and propaganda. This person gets elevated. They're allowed in polite society. They're given a sweet new prominent gig on NBC across all of their platforms. It's just absolutely absurd and disgusting.
No, I know. I saw Paul Wolfowitz on the street one time. I remember looking, most people wouldn't recognize him. And I was just like, you son of, I was just filled with rage. It was actually around the time that an ISIS attack had happened. And I was like, this is your fault. I remember thinking that and looking at him and just wanting to do something. Maybe I just didn't have the courage and actually to go and say something. I probably should have. And you think about these people, COVID and misinformation, etc. I want, and we're going to talk about this with Rogan, we're about to get to that. I want a label placed on every single one of his appearances. This man lied about the war in Iraq. But you know what? They'd have to put that up during the whole goddamn broadcast of almost everybody of these people in the media. This person lied about Russiagate. This person lied about the Wuhan lab leak. This person lied
being funded
about
by Raytheon.
This person's being funded by. This is the problem. You want to start putting labels on things? Let's put labels on things. Let's put labels upon people who are real liars.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.